What's going on, guys? It's been a long time, but it's finally here. It's been something that I've been waiting to receive for quite some time. Probably just shy of a year at this point, coming down to the last few weeks before the year count was done. But I got it. It's here. It's something that I actually won at a tournament, but I was super excited at the possibility of trying it out and giving an unbiased review of the product, because the hype is that it is comparable and it is a cost-effective option for a very popular product that a lot of you guys, a lot of the kayak community is familiar with. So without wasting any more time, this is what it is. The Lightning Nomad Kayak. Some of you may have seen advertisements, the sales pitches, the marketing from Robert Fields through his site, because he is one of the, I believe, one of the main founding or partners in producing and making this kayak and making it available to you guys. All that being said, I finally got it. It's here and I'm excited. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right in to the first few things that I noticed upon receiving and opening up this kayak and just looking it over and just kind of giving it the stare down, so to speak. So I'm going to skip the little small details because, or the bigger details, because it's already been out there. You could read it on their site or even watch the more popular video put out by Robert Fields when they're marketing this product. But I'm going to just go through the parts that was important to me and what I caught and what I noticed and what I wanted to emphasize to you guys. So let's go ahead and get started. I will do a full side-by-side to the 2018 and older kayaks, because I believe this kayak was very closely modeled and shaped to the Hobie Outback 2018 and older. So I'll just go ahead and just kind of do the touch points on this kayak first, and then I'll get into the comparison on a later video or possibly at the end, depending on how much time I have. But right away, this kayak, first thing that kind of made me happy to try this kayak out is that it has a motor mount or a micro pole mount right here already set up with the ports for it. It actually makes it very easy to add a motor if that is the route you are going. My initial thought, to be honest, before I won this kayak, was that I would like to possibly get a boat that I could build out and use for freshwater tournaments, because I had started to get into that recently. And as you all know, many people have the plastic bass boats nowadays, right, with the motors and everything else. So with the large rear well and the mounts, it gave me that opportunity or the thought that I could possibly utilize it for that purpose. So that is one thing. Another thing, you guys already saw easy access to the rudder cables inside here, so it's very easy. I'm not going to pull it out. Again, they already show you that elsewhere. So the rudder, when retracted, it does have a little pocket where it does get pulled up into. So if you do have it up, it'll protect your rudder from any further damage. So the other thing is that it is self-retracting. So because it is based off of a single cable system, and I'll actually show you guys how big that is. So very large rudder. So in essence, I would think that you would have pretty good turning radius and pretty good control of your kayak with this rudder. But since it is not locked in place in any way, if you do hit something, it will bump right back into the recess. But I did notice that if you do have it turned and you run into something, you will still kind of jam up into your kayak. So you do have to straighten out your rudder in order for it to get bumped into your kayak safely. So that's something to think about there. Another thing while it's up, very large transducer spot right here. The benefit of that is that I do see myself possibly going into a side scan or something which has a much larger transducer. Let's go ahead and bring this down real quick. And then the rudder, another benefit to this Lightning, I think anyway, is that you are actually able to lock your rudder in place by locking it down and screwing it so it doesn't move. So obviously, if you're wanting to keep a certain tracking direction or just prevent the rudder from constantly moving in current or wind or whatever it might be, it will allow you to lock your rudder in one position. So that's another plus and difference from this and the Hobie Outback there. Moving a little further up, obviously I will actually get to this. This was actually one of the things that I was kind of most curious about, believe it or not. I'll get back to that in a second. But moving up here, you got these built-in handles. So at first I was excited about it, but the more I looked at it and the more I played with it, once opening this up, I was kind of disappointed by it, to be quite honest. First thing is that the way it's made, it looks like it was almost just thrown in there last minute, and kind of, it's not very clean welds. It's very rough, smooth on one side, rough on the other. It actually even looks like some of the weld beads around it, I mean, it looks like almost thin. So now the question is there a structural I guess weak spot there for any water to leak or for these to crack in the future? I don't think it was a part of the molding process because of the way it's welded in here. But yeah, so that was kind of disappointing in the presentation of it. And secondly, even more than the presentation, when you go to lift this up, it's not positioned right. I would say the position is pretty bad, to be honest. I don't think that was thought through enough. Maybe they needed to move it up, but because of the way the seating goes, they had to push it back further. Because they really didn't have an option. But I'll go ahead and show you what I'm talking about. So if you go to lift the kayak, you see the bow just staying on the ground and the rear just being picked up. So really, the only way that I could comfortably maneuver or move this kayak is to grab it in the hull here, which I always question doing anything with these drive holes, but holding the handle and picking it up that way, that was the only way that I found that I could easily control the kayak and move it. The other option is obviously putting a dolly under the front bow and then picking it up and just rolling it that way, or just putting a cart of some sort. But yeah, that was kind of disappointing. Just it doesn't seem very effective. If that was the thing, I would have just put another rear handle, kind of like like some of these other different kayaks have or something. But that was kind of interesting that they kind of left it the way it was there. Again, just my opinion, and it might not be a big deal for anybody else, but for me that was kind of interesting because I do have to store it in a smaller garage like this and pick it up quite often. So that was that. It came with some extra side pockets. I'm assuming it goes right up in here. I don't know if they plan to install it for you in the future or not, and they ran out of time because, like I said, these kayaks were pretty delayed in getting delivered. So, but all in all, it might not be the worst thing in the world because now I have the option of putting it where I want to. But personally, I may actually prevent going with the Yak Attack boxes to put on some of these rails, maybe add another rail or something. But I will say that I was kind of fond of the width of the kayak. Again, I'll do comparisons in the future, but if you guys have seen me fish off the Hobie, I like to slide a small, like 3500 tackle box on the side of my kayak. But with the space that this kayak has, or the width of the kayak, it actually allows you the space to have a 3600. Now, again, one of those things, if you don't flip, it's perfectly fine, it's good. But the thing is, you know, they commonly say it's not if you flip, it's a matter of when. So when you flip, everything's going to go out. So sure, I'm sure a lot of these plano tackles will float when you do dump over, but just still, I mean, instead of trying to rush around trying to recollect everything you lost, yeah, so it would have been nice to see like a strap of some sort or something, in my opinion, but yeah, that's just something else. So the other good thing is that with the seat being so big, and you have the option of going with a high setting, perfectly allows a 3700 a tackle box to go underneath the seat comfortably. I may actually have to opt to try to create some kind of drawer system in order for it to not slide so far back where I'm reaching for it, but there's so many openings that I think that it's easily accessible no matter how far or where it goes underneath the seat, so that should be fine. So it's okay. So obviously with if you do go for your low settings, you actually aren't able to really slide it in, although this is a thicker tackle box that I have here, just as an example, but it is lower, so that might not be an option for you guys there. I did kind of also, while we're here, so the front tank well, or front the storage area there, I did notice that it's a lot more shallow than what I thought. It's only about probably maybe 2.5 to 3 inches deep, so it's not very deep at all. So originally I was thinking of putting some kind of like thicker like battery box in the front, but my other thought was if I do have it in the position, I could probably stick something back here as a battery spot there. So that kind of is another plus, I guess you could say, in the sense that there's a lot of space on this kayak, on this deck. So so that's kind of that there. Now the seat, you have obviously all the various settings: high, low, front, back. But the main thing about this kayak is, the seat, is that you do have the straps. This does, I don't know if it was the purpose of it, but this does give you some lumbar support here by tightening that up. But obviously, it may be a plus or not, but everything kind of comes apart with these straps. So maybe you could even wash these kayak seats, but it does. You do have all these pull ties here. The seat itself is kind of like your old style again, with you adjusting the height of the seat by pulling on the straps here. I'm okay with that. I've had it. I started my kayaking on an ocean kayak, which had something very similar to this, so that's perfectly fine. Now the parts that is very wide. The seat itself is generally pretty comfortable, to be honest. So it's actually not that much of a complaint. But if I were to point a couple things, is that you may need a kayak cushion, mainly because you have these straps here that kind of keep the canvas or the seat actually cover on the seat. But the thing is that when you sit, you feel these straps across your legs and your butt. So when I fish long hours. 12, 14-hour days are not uncommon. So yeah, that's something that is gonna be something that I'm gonna have to look out for. But I think that if you get a nice, like the kayak cushions that a lot of people use, I think that might solve it, but we'll see. But the width, the space, and everything is actually pretty nice. So I'm not gonna say it's a bad seat just yet. And obviously durability is something that we will have to wait and see. So that's kind of that for this seat here. I did notice that a lot of these pieces are very loose, nuts and bolts. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they did that intentionally or if they had screws that were just way too long or what. But again, it just seems like it was just kind of a rushed effort a little bit, or maybe lack of parts. But it's not even like even, if that makes sense. Again, does it hurt my fishing? Does it hurt my efforts of being on the water? No. But with the more looser pieces, I just feel like there's going to be more wear on these various parts. And also, I mean, as we all know, fishing line gets caught on everything possible, hooks or whatever. So if you have a lot of these stubs, pieces and stuff, I mean, I just feel like it just gets in the way, to be honest. Not saying that it will, but the possibility of it is very high, I feel like, especially when you're fishing and kind of in the heat of the moment for a lot of these things. So that's kind of one thing that I was kind of like, is the presentation isn't there, I feel like. So so that's kind of that. But again, I'm not gonna say it's a bad seat, but it's just, I just feel like just maybe a little bit more thought or maybe a little bit more time could have resolved things like this here. But again, I'm not gonna say it's bad, just pending on a trial effort on the water. So I like that they used aluminum rails, aluminum tracks throughout, so that's always very nice. They did pad it. That's very nice, because a lot of times when you put the crates and stuff down, it does kind of beat on the kayak, creating a lot of noise, so that's nice. Obviously with the footsteps here with the padding, so that's very nice. So it's a nice feature to have. Again, the seat, you guys kind of saw it falling out a little bit earlier, but I do think that you got to kind of weave it to strap it into place. But I'll play with it. I'll see what it looks like. Some of the videos, it didn't seem like it was strapped in the seat, but I'll play with it to try to figure it out. That's fine. The Mirage drive, or I'm sorry, the Freedom drive. The Freedom drive is what they call this drive here. It's pretty much your V1 drive for Hobie. It's proven. The design is proven. And now, obviously, the make is something that's, I mean, it's a new company, so they're making their own, so we'll see if it holds up. But, I mean, a lot of loose pieces. I mean, it just kind of feels like they kind of took the quickest option to put on here. So, I mean, I'm not going to say these are going to pop off, but, I mean, just the presentation of it just seems very, very simplified. And again, I know that they're going with cost effective for this, but really it comes down to the performance, so we'll see how it performs. Speaking of performance, a lot of people have on the earlier model, not earlier model, the existing model prior to this, the Lightning Strike, they did change these out to the Hobie turbo fins. So that might be the way I go, but they were purely changing it to the turbo fins because with these fins, they felt that the older tri-hull look of this Lightning Strike, there was a lot of drag on the water and the speed was pretty low. So with this design being the way it is, the hull design, it might not be as much of a problem, but obviously we will see. We will see if that is necessary. I mean, if I am going with a motor, I might not even need a turbo fins, but it seems like it's a pretty easy fix, easy exchange to go with the Hobie turbo fins, the older version turbo fins. So I may go that route to kind of utilize that upgrade option, I guess you could say. I haven't put the legs on here, but yeah, but this is pretty much the drive in itself. Going with the penguin fins here. Another cosmetic thing. It doesn't hurt me. It doesn't bother me. But I'll just throw it out there. But right as soon as I opened it up, you're expecting that new kayak, new fresh feel. But I don't know why. But I noticed that there was the over cover that when you first get the kayak, it comes in this nice cloth bag that covers the whole kayak. But for whatever reason, there was some kind of overspray on the bag itself. It looks like almost like they spray painted something and it got onto the kayak. So when I opened up the kayak, there's like a whole bunch of like some kind of like rough overspray. So again, it doesn't affect me. I beat up my kayaks pretty bad, so I'll probably do a lot more scarring up than this. But for those of you that are looking for pristine or clean, it's there. I mean, like I said, it doesn't bother me too much, but it's there. So just letting you guys know. Maybe it's from the naming when they're spraying the Nomad name onto the kayak, possibly. I don't know, but there was some black overspray on the kayak. There is a lot of little spray. It almost feels like you left the kayak underneath the pine tree overnight with all the sap falling on it or something. So there is that. So last but not least, one of the biggest question I had, which might seem very stupid and simple to you guys, is when I saw these rod holders, the in-hull rod holders, it got me a little bit excited. And the reason why I'm excited, and the reason why I have this in my hand, is that I was wondering if these rod holders had the gimbal bottoms, the little notched out bottoms, and they do. And for those of you that don't know what that is, for Hobie owners, if you buy the rocket launcher style rod holder, or even any rod holder really, when you stick it in, they actually provide you with a tie down strap to prevent this from spinning out. So if you have, let's just say, for example, that you have it out like here, and you're trolling along or whatever, and a fish bites. One of the biggest fears I had when fishing down in Florida was what happens if they bite and it completely spins out, and your rod is pretty much at risk of just shooting out if it gets the right angle when the fish are biting and pulling. I've never seen that happen, but I saw the possibilities, and it made me really worried. But with the gimbal mount bottoms, pretty much your bait casters, your jigging rods, not all of them, but some of them do have the cutouts on the bottom of the rod, actually right here, which is that right there. What it does is it allows you to lock your rod. I mean, I'll show you the rod holder, but it also allows you, for the bait casters or conventionals, you can lock it on top and not have it spin on you. I found that very, very useful, let alone it does have all your rod leash hookups here, but just not having a rod spin on you, or even with your spinning reels dangling and hanging out and getting all the splash, just turning it up a little bit there makes a big difference in keeping your rod away, and also from constantly rocking in the waves and doing whatever else, and allowing line to get wrapped up on your tip and whatever else. So I was happy to find that the rod holders had that gimbal bottom. And just to show you with the rod holder, this is actually the Scotty rocket holder here. So obviously, once you find that notch and press it down, it locks. Now it is not going to turn on you. Now it won't turn on you, so you have that security, knowing that you're not going to lose anything just because it turned down or flipped or whatever else. So I'm excited to put these back to use in some way with this kayak. So that's a quick and dirty, just going through this kayak, just pointing out the things I liked, and kind of the things that I'm kind of questioning a little bit. So really, I'll give you guys the honest feedback. I mean, if I like it, I'll tell you I like it. If I don't, there's no reason for me not to tell you that I don't, and there's no reason for me to tell you what I don't like about it. So I'll definitely give you guys the honest feedback as I go along here, and obviously I'll do the side-by-side comparison with your Hobie Outback. That will be coming to you. Oh, just last thing, it doesn't come with a paddle, so don't assume it does. I know that other companies don't do that either, but again, I believe it's a costing, and it makes sense, to be honest, because you could buy a paddle on your own for pretty cheap, but now it gives you the flexibility to buy a paddle that you really like. So, but yeah, don't expect a paddle with this kayak. It does not come with one, so just keep that in mind. But yeah, I think that's it.